The roar of the crowd was deafening. A symphony of cheers and applause echoed through the vast arena. He stood on the podium, bathed in the warm glow of 1,000 lights, the weight of victory settling upon his broad shoulders. He was a titan, sculpted from muscle and sweat, his chest heaving with exertion and exhilaration. He raised his hand, the golden medal glinting under the spotlight, a testament to his unwavering dedication and relentless pursuit of excellence. His eyes, however, did not linger on the prize. They were drawn to a figure slowly approaching him from the edge of the platform. A hush fell over the crowd as she drew closer. A young woman, barely a wisp of a girl, with eyes that held a universe of curiosity and apprehension. Her steps were hesitant, unsure, yet there was a quiet strength in the set of her jaw, a flicker of resolve in the depths of her gaze. This was his reward, the prize whispered about in hushed tones. A prize far more precious, far more terrifying than any medal. He watched her, his heart pounding a primal rhythm against his ribs. There was an innocence about her, a vulnerability that both intrigued and terrified him. She was adorned in silks and jewels, a princess offered as tribute, yet her eyes spoke of simpler things, of quiet moments, of shared laughter, of a longing for connection that transcended the spectacle of the arena. She stopped before him, her head bowed, her small hands clasped tightly in front of her. He could sense her trembling, the rapid beat of her heart echoing his own. He extended his hand, his fingers brushing against the delicate skin of her arm. A gasp escaped her lips as she flinched at his touch. Her eyes, wide and luminous, met his. In that instant, he saw a flicker of fear, a hint of defiance, but most of all, a spark of curiosity that mirrored his own. He lifted her chin gently, urging her to meet his gaze. "Don't be afraid," he murmured, his voice a low rumble that seemed to still the remaining noise of the crowd. The walk from the arena to the secluded chamber felt like a journey between two worlds. The roar of the crowd faded behind them, replaced by the soft whisper of silk and the echoing silence of stone corridors. With each step, the weight of the world seemed to lift from his shoulders, replaced by a different kind of anticipation. He led her through a labyrinth of hallways, the air thick with the scent of incense and ancient stone. Finally, they reached a heavy wooden door, intricately carved with scenes of mythical lovers and whispered promises. He pushed it open, ushering her into a room bathed in the soft glow of candlelight. The chamber was a sanctuary, a world away from the clamor and chaos of the arena. Rich tapestries adorned the walls, their colors muted by time. A fire crackled merrily in the hearth, casting dancing shadows that played across her face. She stood in the center of the room, her eyes wide as she took in her surroundings. Gone was the trembling girl from the platform. In her place stood a woman, her chin held high, her gaze steady. Section 4. The Unveiling of Trust. He moved towards her, drawn by an invisible force. "Welcome," he said, his voice a low murmur in the stillness. "This is your sanctuary now." She met his gaze, her eyes searching his. "It's beautiful," she whispered, her voice barely audible. He reached out, his fingers tracing the delicate line of her jaw. She didn't flinch this time. Instead, she leaned into his touch, a soft sigh escaping her lips. He felt a surge of tenderness, a protectiveness that surprised him with its intensity. She was so fragile, so different from the world he knew, yet there was a strength within her, a resilience that shone through her apprehension. He lowered his head, his lips brushing against hers. "Don't be afraid," he whispered again, his voice rough with emotion. "Let me show you." Section 5, Where Hearts Entwine. The kiss, when it came, was hesitant at first, a tentative exploration of unfamiliar territory. But as the moments stretched into an eternity, the kiss deepened, fueled by a desire that had been simmering beneath the surface. He tasted her innocence, her fear, her burgeoning desire, and found himself lost in the depths of her. She responded with a passion that both thrilled and terrified him, her hands clutching at his shoulders, her body molding to his. They moved together, a symphony of whispered sighs and trembling limbs, their bodies entwined on the plush carpet before the crackling fire. The world outside ceased to exist, the roar of the crowd a distant memory. Here, in the sanctuary of each other's arms, they were no longer victor and prize, but two souls discovering solace and connection in the most unexpected of circumstances. As the first rays of dawn pierced through the heavy curtains, they lay entwined, their breaths mingling in the stillness. He looked down at her, his heart overflowing with a love he never knew he possessed. Her eyes fluttered open, and for a moment the fear returned. Then she smiled, a slow, blossoming smile that reached her eyes, and he knew in that instant that he had found something far more precious than victory. He had found his heart's desire.